Hey, I'm Erica. I'm sorry. I just got hung up here a little bit. Can everybody hear me? Erica or Susan? I'm sorry. I was running a little late. Can you hear? There we go. I see you, but I can't hear you.
Okay. Hear me? How about now?
There we go. Now we got you. I apologize to you. I'm running a little late here, so let me get set up real quick. And I'm sorry I made you wait.
You're fine. My camera's going in
No
and
problem.
out.
Thank you.
You don't have to have the camera on if you're not comfortable with it. So as long
My
as I can hear you,
computer's
and you
6
can talk.
years old, so
All right. I'm trying to get you to try to get it so you can see my screen. Do you see my screen? Should be popping up the LDR 300 course Moodle page, and you should see a picture of the textbook. Can
no,
everybody see that?
no.
Not yet. Okay. Well, probably helps if I click share. How does that work? Does that look like it's done?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Hey, listen, again, I apologize. I appreciate everybody's patience. First thing I want to tell you is that Moodle sessions or Zoom sessions are not mandatory. These are not graded. You don't have to be here. This is your time to spend with me. I'm going to say a couple things, but the rest of it is whatever questions you've got. So if that's news to you and you don't want to participate in something that's not graded, not mandatory, you are free to go without prejudice. But if you want to be here and want to, then please, we're going to go about a half hour because that's all that the school seems to want to allow me on Zoom. And typically, I usually get cut off before I finish what I have to say. So if we get cut off, I'm going to tell you it's great having you in class. Hope everybody enjoys it, and we're going to learn something. We're going to have some fun. So with that, LDR 300. This is the foundational course at the University of Mount Olive. My name is Russ Jamison. This is Tuesday, the 22nd of August. I have that correct at 1900 or 7 p.m., whatever your persuasion is. This course started on Monday, the 21st of August. We're going to go through 7.4 weeks, brand new setup. And that means we end on Wednesday, 11 October. So because we do full weeks, we're going to have a certain, what I call battle rhythm. There are going to be certain days that you have a post due to the forum, discussion forum. There are going to be certain days that you have to respond to at least 2 other students on that forum, which are due. You're going to have days where there are some assignments, essentially know yourself exercises. And those are due on a certain date. And then quizzes will open on a certain day and then close on a certain day. And be cognizant of that. And all that's going to remain the same until we get to that 0.4 week. And it'll change because we end on a Wednesday. Your final paper I've adjusted to be due a little bit earlier than the norm. Typically, it's due on the last day of class, which is a Sunday. But in this particular case, it's going to be due on the Sunday prior to the last day of class to give me some time to grade them and time for you to see my grading. Before it was due, we really didn't have time for that, and you would have to do a quick review and then see what your final grade was, because I had to get the grade posted within 2 days of the paper being due. Anyway, that last week, there will be a forum posting due on Wednesday. There will be a quiz due by Wednesday night, but there will be no homework for that week. So it's all there in the syllabus. We'll talk about it. No sense worrying about what's going to happen in October when we're not even into September yet, although pretty close. I see nobody in the waiting area, so I'm going to continue on. If you ladies see anybody hanging out there, feel free to jump in and interrupt me. In fact, feel free to jump in and interrupt me anytime you desire. The textbook Leadership Experience by Richard Daft is a couple years old, but most of this is relatively timeless and current. It's a very good text. I really recommend that you hold on to it for your time at University of Mount Olive. You'll refer to it often, I assure you. It has solid information in it that helps out in the leadership realm, and then just in life in general. And so I think you'll refer to it quite often. And quite frankly, I think it should become a permanent part of your library. And I really do recommend that you hold on to it. Take a look at the Moodle page real fast. This is a new design. All the instructors have now been told to use this design. So we're all kind of getting used to it. You'll see that there's an announcement section here, which is where I will post your weekly assignments. Even though it's in the syllabus, even though it's in Moodle, I will post a paper that tells you what's due this week, to include the questions for the forum and what's coming up. And then you have your start here, syllabus, some navigational buttons. But if you scroll further down, you'll see policy on attendance and what the difference between attendance and participation is, at least for my courses. And that's just where I record your attendance. No need to worry about that. And then you have certain icons. I don't know why I've lost my graphic here, but go back and have to fix that, I guess. But that should have my information in it, the syllabus, and then most of you have found the student lounge. Two things I want to show you in there real fast is some basic contact information for me. Introduce yourselves forum, which some of you have done. Actually, I think all three of you have. Anyway, I need to go back and check. Ask for help forum. So this is a place is predominantly for the students to go and ask for help, but I will check this. And so if it's routine, non-emergency, and I define that by if it is routine, not of urgent nature, then posting here or sending to me by email will get you a response. Usually within 24 hours. I do a little better than that. If it's an emergency or very urgent, then by all means text or call me. And I will respond within certainly a couple hours. The timing of that obviously is a little suspect, because if you text me at 3 in.the morning, I probably will see it within 2 hours, but I'm going to be a little cranky, to be quite honest with you. So, and I'm just kidding with you there. Please feel free to contact me as you need to. Just understand that I have some distractions like all of us, so I'll do the best I can. But in the end, you'll get a response. Let me assure you of that. If you don't hear from me, then something's wrong. So, and then here's a student coffee house. This is a place for you to communicate with other students. That's a new thing. And quite frankly, I'm not going to monitor I will go in every now and then just to make sure we're using it for its intended purpose, and quite frankly, just so I can assure there's no cyberbullying going on. Okay, which I can't imagine there will be. Zoom information, you all found out the Zoom session information, and this area right below it is where I will post the video files. These are going to be recorded by UMO policy, and they will be available for later use. Okay. And then coming out of that,
Question.
yeah, please.
Will the calls be at 7 p.m. every week or 4 p.m. every week, or will it change?
So you have a setting issue in your Zoom portion. They're always going to be at 7. But if you didn't go in there and adjust it to Eastern Daylight Time, it's going to pop up at 4 o'clock for you.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
If that is not the case, let me know. But we finally figured that out last class, because I kept having a couple of students insist that I put 4, and I kept insisting I put 7. Then we realized we were both right. If your setting is on Greenwich mean, then yes, you're gonna be a few hours earlier than us. But 7 seemed to be the better time. I've adjusted it over the course of a few years now. We've been doing the Zoom sessions since, well, 2019, pretty much, I think. And I think they're good. I like them. I've chased the days and times and realized that catching people earlier in the week, vice later, tended to help for that week's, particularly in the homework arena. And then I usually don't like doing things too much later in the evening. Like 10 o'clock was good for some, but was really way too late for others. And then I think I did try, it probably wasn't 4, it's probably close to 5. And that was evidently too early for people that were getting off work. So, or, having to get home and get on their personal computer. So
Yeah,
we'll
7 is
try
perfect.
7 unless, oh, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, 7 is perfect.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right. So if we go down here, we look in our first week, module 1 or week 1 really is the same. I recommend here, and you'll see this in every week, that you read the assignment instructions for the week. That captures whatever updates I have to give you, or there's occasions like if inclement weather looks like it will affect us, or things of that nature. And then I have some module learning objectives. This is new, and I owe you, and I owe actually my boss these. I need to fill these out, but essentially all the learning objectives is you are going to be asked some questions, and here they are. You're going to do a summary report of some exercises, and here they are. And you're going to take a quiz, and here it is. So if you think module learning objectives, think answer a couple of questions on leadership, do some leadership self-evaluation, and take a quiz. So you're not missing much here, but like I said, I need to get after that and do it. Okay, first week, we want to read chapters 1 and 2 of our text. Hopefully everybody's got it. If you do not have your text, we can work with you on that. I can work with you on that. And I will tell you that these 2 discussion questions for the discussion forum that's due tomorrow do not require you to use the text. This will be the only time I do that. What we want to see on all of these, what we call marked requirements, if you see a grade assigned to something, you need to assume that that's how we evaluate how well you are mastering the objectives. And the only way we can do that is through questions, quizzes, papers, and the like. And part of that is seeing how well you can take a principle, a theory, a model out of the text, a definition out of the text, understand that and apply it in your answer. So part of what I'm asking you when you do your responses is try to find that term of reference that relates to the question out of your text, and then introduce that and then expand on it in your own words. Okay. So if I by example, ask you, what do we think leadership is? A great response would include, well, according to the DAF text, leadership is defined as, quote, blah, 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 blah. To me, that is an all-encompassing term, and I would expand to include X, Y, and Z. So you give me a dose of, you understand what the text is giving you, you understand the material, and then you give me you. I want to see you in your answers, not regurgitated text as much. Okay. Does that make any sense? Okay. And you'll get a feel for what I'm looking for. Some of you have been in my classes before, and that's part of it. Within a week or so, we'll figure each other out, and you'll see what I'm looking for, and I'll get a better feel for where you're at, and we'll get there. As I tell everybody, my job is to get you through this. Your job is to do the work, and so the only way you will fail my course is if you don't do the work. If we don't agree on a principle or a model, we're going to have a hefty discussion about it. But if you don't agree with what I say, that will not cause you to fail. In fact, I do enjoy a good, hearty discussion. But that's that's reflective of leadership in general. In other words, you and I may be handed the same situation, but you or I may not agree on the appropriate response or what the preferred response or how we would approach solving. And that doesn't mean that I'm wrong and you're right, or vice versa. That's just the nature of the beast. So this is where we learn from each other. And I can assure you, by the time we're done, I'll got more out of you than you're going to get out of me. So I appreciate your time and efforts, and I look forward to seeing what you all write, because I do read every submission. I usually read your final papers 3 times before I render a final grade. That's just to ensure that I didn't get too generous in my grading the first time I read it, or too mean. But I do take the time. If you take the time to write it, I take the time to read it. So
you can be generous all you want.
All right, fair enough. I'll take that as a marker. Hi, Eric. And let me just kind of expand a little bit on that point. I think the one industry the customer doesn't really want their money's worth is education. In other words, there are some that are paying this money for this time to get that degree to put up on the wall, and that's perfectly legitimate. That's cooperate to graduate. I get it. But if you really want an education, if you really want to learn and get into this, I'm with you. Okay. I will take this as deep as you want to get into it. In part because I love it. In part because that's what I'm here for. But if all we're doing is just handing in response, and some students are like that, and that's fine, then I will spend the appropriate amount of time on that. And if
no, I agree with you. Yeah, wholeheartedly. I mean, you know, if we're going to be studying and putting all this effort into reading and writing and all of this, we should be gaining something from it. And without honest feedback and discussion, it's hard to learn from it and actually take away. So I respect that.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and again, it's I'm not being hypercritical, but I've been doing this for a little while, and so we tend to get even at the University of Mount Olive, we'll get some characters in that will submit something just to see if I even read it. There's times when sometimes it's honest mistake. Student uploads the wrong file. And so I, as your instructor, will sit there reading a submission going, okay, this has nothing to do with what we're covering. Where did this come from? And that's usually a mistake. But there are times when, well, as an example, I will get used to your writing style just in a few short posts, not because I'm that good. It's just everybody has a certain way of communicating. And there was a student I had, this was years ago, who purchased one of these papers written for you online. And it must have come from India because the English language was being used, but it was very proper and it was just off. It just was not the way, this is going to sound xenophobic, but it's just not the way an American sound. And then of course, every time the word leadership should have been in there, it was administrative supervision. That was the words they used for leadership. So every time, think of the paper you submit to me, you know, what's the difference between management and leadership? You would write back, well, management is this and administration supervision is this. And do that about 8 or 10 times in paper and see if I start getting, you know, a look on my face. But anyway, enough of that. So week 1. So discussion forum. So tomorrow night, I used to say before midnight, and that would always confuse us. Because if I say midnight tonight, is that midnight from last night or was that midnight tonight? Anyway, we'd always get confused. So that's why you see 23:59 or 11:59 p.m. So there's no mistake. So Wednesday night at 23:59, I'd like you to respond to 2 questions. What, in your view, is the difference between management and leadership? And why is leadership considered both an art and a science? Certainly use the text if you have it. If you do not, you got a few extra days here where you could still participate, at least in this. Your response should be posted. Make it a short paragraph. I do not grade on page numbers or word count. If I give you something, you know, for example, 150 words, I'm giving you a term of reference or frame of reference of how much time to spend on it. In other words, for the discussion forum, I do not need you writing me a 13-page paper with annotated bibliography. Okay. They make it short, but make your point. In other words, answer the question. So there's a sweet spot in there. And if you can answer, you know, these questions in less than 100 words, more power to you. I don't think you can, but it's possible perhaps. And you make your point, you'll be fine. If it takes you 1,000 words to answer these questions, then do that. As long as you make your point and not put in a lot of fluff. Do you see where I'm heading with this? So don't get wrapped up around, you know, 150 words. Oh, I can't do anything more than that, or I have to do a minimum. And so I fill it with fluff. Just understand that, you know, I don't need a lot on these, but I want you to try to answer the question. And then this is where participation comes in. you're going to comment on at least 2 fellow students' postings. If you want to do more, please feel free. But at a minimum, comment on 2. And let's make it more than just the, hey, great post. I really like what you did. And I agree wholeheartedly, which is not a bad post, but it doesn't really add to what we're doing here. What kind of furthered this discussion? So, give some substantive response to your fellow students. Hey, you saw it this way. I kind of saw it this way. Or, I liked the example you gave, and it made me think more about my own example. Something again that tends to further the discussion. Okay. And want to try to have those done no later than 23:59, 11:59 p.m. on Friday. Okay. Then you have some exercises. All right, it's already 7:30. We're going to get cut off here pretty soon. I'll let you know when we have about 10 minutes left, but that's going to pop up on my screen here pretty soon. I'll speed this up a little bit, give you a little more time for questions. The Know Yourself summary report is based on a series of exercises. I specifically, for week 1, want you to do 1.3 on page 26, 2.2 on, page 59. Don't regurgitate the exercise. I know what the exercise says and what it is. Just do a very brief, almost just a few words. The exercise has to do with blah, and my results are. Okay, and that's what I'm most interested in, is what you see your results are. And then and discuss that as part of the information and concepts presented in the text. The text indicates that this type of behavior indicates this. My example, I agree, or I disagree. If you disagree with what the exercise awards you in points, or what it tends to not pigeonhole you, but you know what I mean, classify you as, then say it. Okay, you can perfectly disagree with what is happening. But more importantly, I want you to discuss also how you will use the information and concepts to enhance your ability to lead others, and how it creates value in your career. In other words, answer the so what. Okay, I made you do these exercises. So what did you get out of it? Okay. And if you tell me it was a complete waste of time, I'll listen. I hope it does. I hope it helps you out. Now, this is going to occur every week. And what happens is, by the end of the 6th week, when it comes time to write your paper, part of your paper will go back to these. In other words, I'll ask you what you determine some of your strengths and weaknesses are. And what I'm specifically talking about is what you got out of some of these exercises. So you're going to pick about 3 to 5 of these to kind of pull out and talk through in your final paper. Okay.
Okay.
And these are all due Saturdays by 23:59, 11:59. Hey, if you want to get these in early, that's fine. Technically, if you want to get your final paper in tomorrow, feel free to do so. I would suggest you not do that, but I'm okay with you getting stuff turned in early. Just understand, I tend to wait for the time period to expire before I start grading. That just gives you some chances to come back and rework your paper or your submission if you want. If you want to submit as a draft, you've got up until that time frame to change it before I grade it. If you submit me a draft and you don't finalize it before the time period ends, I'm going to assume that you meant to submit that as your final answer. So, and I'll grade it as such. And then quizzes are, here we go. Okay, 10 minutes. So I got 10 minutes.
Go ahead. And I'm sorry, I keep asking so many questions. But on that report itself, in APA format, is it okay to use, since we're talking about ourselves and what we're reflecting on personally, to use I and me?
Absolutely. Yeah, so I kind of threw in there generally adhere to APA format. I'm not an English
Okay.
major. I'm not teaching proper use of the English language and pronunciation and grammar. Uh, I mean, within reason. I mean, certainly structure your sentences and be professional in your communication. And by all means, please proofread. Don't just spell check, but proofread your response. But yes, I'm not so much worried about APA format on these as I will have to be for your paper, because that's also a University Moodle requirement. But correct. I mean, if I'm having you do a series of summaries that are the result of you're doing an exercise, then yes, I'm going to have to ask you to use I and me. So yeah,
Okay.
please please feel free to do so.
And we don't
Uh,
need a reference page for these weekly ones. It's just the final.
correct. Basically, you're already kind of doing that in that first paragraph. You're going to say, uh, "Hey, this is my response. This is my summary report for leadership self insight exercise 1.3." Which asked us to evaluate ourselves on a blah 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 scale. You see what I'm getting at? So you're already kind of doing it. As long as I could tell in your paper that you worked these exercises, that were assigned, and that's fine. And the same holds true with an abstract. I don't need you throwing an abstract on here. Now, if you want to practice that, I'll play with you and I'll give you a response on that. I won't make it part of your grade. But if you want to, do an abstract table of contents and the like, as well as practice, certainly feel free. Okay. But I'm going to ask you to do that as a Word document and not send me a PDF screenshot of your work. You see what I'm getting at? Sometimes I get people that just want to give me the response they did to the exercise, forgetting the discussion piece to this. And if you get one thing out of me, it's I really value what you have to say. And so if you don't tell me what you think, um, you're not going to get an A. Let's kind of put it that way. All right. Okay, and then the quiz is posted. Normally, I open up the quiz on Wednesdays at noon, and you'll have till Sunday afternoon. In this case, watch your time, 1500, 3 o'clock p.m. on Sunday, to have the quiz done. That gives you better part of Wednesday, all day Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then till 1500 on Sunday to get the quiz done. Quizzes normally, I put a time limit of 45 minutes to an hour, depending. So keep that in mind. If you start the exam at 10 minutes to 3 on Sunday, you're going to get 10 minutes and then you're going to be cut off. You're not going to get that full 45 minutes or an hour. So take that into consideration. You have one shot at it. So make sure when you take the quiz, try to be in a place where you won't be interrupted. And you may use your course materials. You may use what we cover in class, the PowerPoints that I give you that are in each chapter. For example, right below the quiz here, you'll see PowerPoint for week 1. So these are additional resource slides for you. The only thing I will ask you on the quiz is you do not collaborate with other students. I want this to be your work. So please don't ask fellow students what the answer to questions 1 through 5 are, or the like. Generally, it will be true, false, and best answer. Note, I did not say multiple choice, but best answer, same format, but type of quizzes. So there will not be any fill in the blank essay or anything like that. It's pretty straightforward. Okay. So I think I left you 2 whopping minutes for questions. So we'll do better next time. I won't talk as much. What do you all have for me? Susan, Chellie, are you still with us?
I'm still here fighting with my cat.
Oh, yes, sir. I'm still here.
All right,
I
now
was
putting
just
you on the
about to tell
spot.
you that, yeah, I was just about to tell you that I think you covered all of the questions that I had. So I'm good.
Well, good, mighty fine. Like I said, don't overthink this. It's pretty straightforward. And even though University of Mount Olive policy is there is no makeup work or acceptance of late work, the dean tells us instructors to to approach every student with a measure of grace. Okay, if something's going on and you miss it or think you're going to miss it, then communicate with me. Okay, and if it's an exigency, if it's beyond your control, then I would not be fair in penalizing you, would I? So, let's not stress too much and learn something here and have some fun. As much as schoolwork can be fun.
That's good.
All right. So we're gonna get cut off. So I'm gonna I've got no, we got 3 minutes. There's a clock up here. Oh, that's new. Hold on here.
Can you
My
tell
eyes-
time?
Got 3 minutes left. So what do you got, Abby? Take a shot at your instructor.
I'm getting concerned about your time telling abilities.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
You did clear up the questions I had about the homework stuff with the leadership practice things that we were supposed to do. That sort of threw me off there, but you did clear that up, so I was glad about that.
Yeah, just this is your time. This is time that you have for reflection and getting to know where you're at. And some of these are tough to answer because do I answer them when I'm home with the kids or do I answer them when I'm at work? Do I answer them based on the work I'm at now or what I think I want to do? I mean, these are all legitimate questions. You just got to have to find, what works best for you. Okay. And see where it takes us because quite frankly, some of these are good for you to save and use on your future subordinates, to see what makes them tick. Because in large measure, I think any leadership class that you get should have a heavy dose of psychology with it because much of it is getting to know or understanding what that person is all about, what motivates them, what drives them. For one person, I may motivate you by offering you extra pay for extra work. For somebody else, actually, that motivation might be time off. I'll put in the extra work, but you give me a few extra days of off time, vice pay. Okay, well, perfectly legitimate. It's up to me as the leader to understand what drives and motivates.
Exactly.
Less than a minute. Can you stand it? All right.
Get started
Thank
on
you
my
so
discussion
much.
post.
Fair enough. Thank you. Thank you for joining me and good luck. Okay. Again, this should be worthwhile and we'll get through it.
Roll Tide.
Appreciate you.
Good night.
Looking
All
forward
right,
to
thank
it.
you.
Okay. Thank you, ladies. Have a
Bye,
great night.
y'all.
All right. Looks like we're done here.